Hello and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 3 and the Japan campaign on Black Ice version 11.2.1. And well, where we left off, we were beginning our advance into, well, Germany, I guess we could say, not Germany, China proper. We'd finished an encirclement action in the north, and we were now looking at an encirclement action around the Yangtze River. And we're about 30 seconds in, and this is another episode that I'm doing ADR. This is one of the next two episodes that are going to be like this. And well, I'm going to be joining you for the next 45 minutes or so of another episode of AFG Rambles randomly about whatever topics are on his mind. So I hope everyone's having a good week. Thanks for the support, on the most recent video. This one's going to be going up hopefully today. I'm recording this on the Friday, and my aim is to have it out this evening. So yeah, we're gonna make a move. And as you can see, we're already pushing over the Yangtze River and down towards our little enclave around Guangzhou, I think it is. Without sort of checking it, and as you can see, we've got most of our sort of faster forces and things that we're using as sort of the main spearhead, whilst also getting ready to attack Nanchang there, which I don't think I'm pronouncing correctly. But yeah, it's been a pretty busy week this week, but I am glad to be uploading more than one video this week. That is a major positive. We're going to get back into some sort of standardized video formatting, everyone. But yeah, things are, as I say, looking up and going fairly well. Work's just been very busy, but not as busy as usual. So there's something to be said about that. I'm just going to move my mic a little bit closer, just because looking at Audacity, the audio levels are looking maybe a little tiny bit low. So I'm sorry if there's a little bit of audio moment there. So yeah, I cooked some dinner this evening. Did a little curry, which was not too bad. I cook all my curries from scratch. I'm a big cooking sort of guy. If you want to know something about me. So right, let's crack on. So we've got Mr. Shamamito Moto Siochi is his first name, and he looks like he's pushing forwards. We do have a few clones in the Japanese army. I've noticed a few of the character portraits are identical. A bit like the Japan campaign, which ended up just being a clone army, except there's no droid attack on the Wookiees for us to worry about. So, in the intervening time since I recorded my last episode and the most recent one, Boris Johnson has resigned yesterday, finally. Finally seen the writing on the wall. However, he has not gone as Prime Minister, because via some beautiful quirks of the UK system, that you can resign as leader of your party, but you can remain Prime Minister. In fact, I do believe that even if you were to lose your seat as an MP, you can still be the Prime Minister without actually sitting as an MP for a constituency, which is just balmy and amazing. I do love the UK political system. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that point. But yeah, not that that's ever been a problem. I don't think a sitting Prime Minister has ever lost their seat. Although I would have to check that. I'm just pretty sure that they haven't. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week politically. I am glad that Boris Johnson has finally bit the proverbial bullet. But, and I shouldn't really be saying that after the death, sadly, of the ex-Japanese Prime Minister, which is very sad. That is, I'm not particularly aware of his politics and the like, but it is always sad when someone loses their life in what looks like, a rather brutal murder. So sad times. But yes, Boris Johnson has moved on politically, ish, and they are trying their best to get rid of him as Prime Minister as well. He's running out of allies very quickly, and it'll be interesting to see what comes next, because the sad thing is there really isn't a very good alternative to Boris Johnson. As you can see, the production queue coming along quite nicely, but for the Tory party, they're gonna, I think, struggle to find someone. Even Boris Johnson, in a very wounded, not very popular state, is probably still more popular than anyone that's coming in to replace him. If you go through the candidates, you've got Liz Truss. Thank you very much for the comment, by the way, in the last episode where I said Liz Truss. No, she's definitely not trustworthy. But Liz Truss is I did it again. Liz Truss is definitely an interesting one. She's probably the front runner, maybe, out of the parliamentary like the well-known names at least. She's not particularly interesting. I don't know. She's a bit of an enigma to me. Politically, I don't know that much about her politics in order to form much of an opinion, other than she's been a cabinet minister for quite some time in a variety of different setups. So I don't know if that really is a positive or a negative in this situation, but she's currently the Foreign Secretary. She's more, I don't know, she'll be a competent person, but whether or not she'll inspire the major Tory voters is a bit of a different question. Who else have we got? Rishi Sunak. Prepare to get Sunak. It's Sunak time, but not Morbin time. He's got some problems. So he's probably the most charismatic. Is that the right word for a Tory MP? Probably the most charismatic of the Tory options that they have available. He's got a proven track record as Chancellor. You can argue he's not been that successful as Chancellor. I would heavily say that he's probably not that great as a Chancellor option. And he won't be popular with the Tory membership because he's known for raising taxes and doing spending money, which are two things that the Conservative Party do not enjoy in any way, shape or form. So yeah, I would say he's definitely going to be a difficult sell for them. But as I say, from purely a personality standpoint and I guess you could say brand recognition, he's probably the most well-known of the parliamentary Conservative Party to the average Joe blogs on the street. So, and there's pros and cons to that, especially because there are some issues with the wealth of his wife, I believe, and possible links to certain nations. So yeah, he's got some problems. Who else did we go for? Sajid Javid. Now, personally, if I was hedging my bets, I do think he has a relatively good chance of maybe winning if he puts his name forward. I don't know whether or not he has put his name forward. The only reason why I think he has a solid chance, personally, I don't like him very much, but he has held pretty much every single office of state, I believe. He's been Chancellor, he's been Health Minister, he's been, I believe, Home Secretary. I think the only thing he might not have done is Foreign Secretary, but he's held pretty much most of the major offices of state. So he's an interesting one. Experienced, probably slightly more sensible than most, probably tax-wise, very similar to what some of the more standardised Tories probably would want. So I don't think he's an outside bet. He's also got quite a good story from a purely political standpoint. I think his family sort of didn't come from very much, and he's part of this conservative ideal of work yourself to death and build yourself up and think work will set you free sort of thing and improve your position. So he's as I say, he's an interesting choice. Whether or not he will, as I say, have the support within the sort of wider membership, I'm not sure. I think Liz Truss is probably one of the more popular with them than him. There's a few other outside bets as well. So those are sort of, there's obviously Jeremy Hunt. Now, Jeremy Hunt used to be the health minister. You can change his name to make something else rather funny as a swear word. Personally, I don't like him. He's more of the Remainer option, the Remainer wing of the party, and therefore I think it's very unlikely he'll win. A few other people have thrown their names out in there. Steve Baker, who's an absolute wanker. If you want my non-politically correct viewpoint on him, he's one of the Brexit crew, and to be honest with you, I just don't think my heart can take it anymore with them. So yeah, hopefully. I mean, he seems popular with the Tory party membership, but God help us. I mean, he's honestly, there's no way he could seriously. I think even Keir Starmer would eat him alive. So that says something. Who else we got? Penny Mordaunt. Yes, Penny Mordaunt. Penny Mordaunt, she used to be in the cabinet, I believe, when Theresa May was there. She might have even been there in the early days of Boris Johnson. She's an interesting pick. Politically, I think she is more towards the Brexit side. Personally, I don't think she's... Again, I don't know enough about her politics to really comment, other than she's obviously, I think, quite popular again within the sort of grassroots of the Conservative Party. I think, typical Tory, probably, policies when it comes to economy and the like. So... yeah, I mean, even within the Tory party, you have the right and the left. And I think Sunak is more towards the left wing of the Tory party, at least based on his actions as Chancellor. Whereas others, Steve Baker, Penny Mordaunt, probably would I throw Sajid Javid in there? No, I would say Sajid Javid's probably your One Nation Tory. This is where we have to get into some of the terminology when it comes to the Tory party. So you've got different wings of the Tory party, okay? You've got the One Nation Conservatives, who are sort of the David Cameron ilk, who you would probably say electorally, more electorally... Are they more electoral? I don't know. Maybe to me, being in the south of the UK, I look at them and think they're more electorally appealing. But yeah, so you've got those sorts of politicians in the Conservative Party, that sort of wing. You've got the more right-wing element of the Conservative Party, which is the European Research Group, or what used to be the European Research Group. Big names in there: Steve Baker, Jacob Rees-Mogg. There's a few others in there as well that I won't list, but they're the sort of Boris Johnson crew, and I get the impression that they will have their power dampened down off the back of this. I'll be very interested to see actually whether or not Boris Johnson even stays as an MP. I would not be surprised if he finds a way to get out of being an MP as soon as possible. He wanted to be Prime Minister. He didn't want to just represent some arse end part of the UK that he has no connection to and doesn't give a shit about. Not being funny, that, I don't know what part of the UK he represents at the moment, but I can't imagine it's somewhere that he actually resides in or has any understanding of. So, yeah, okay. If he's really going to stick around, I'd be really surprised. So yeah, those are some of the candidates for the Tory party. I look at them and I see a wave of blue Tories. The left wing of the party, I should say, is probably Rishi Sunak, based on sort of some of his policies and things that he's instigated. If I had to choose one, but it's like choosing which shit do you want to, like, if you're ill, right? And you've got you've had a dodgy vindaloo, right? And you're choosing what you want to happen. Do you want to be constipated? Do you want to have mass diarrhea? Do you want to have not be able to shit for a couple of days, or never stop shitting? It's a tough choice. Who would I prefer? I don't know. They're all pretty bad. But based on what I know about them, probably Rishi Sunak or Sajid Javid. Probably one of them, only because they seem like the most experienced of the options, and at least Sunak, via the budgets, has done possibly some stuff to help the country during COVID. Makes me think maybe he's not completely soulless, but yeah, it's a very low bar. My preference would be a general election. That would be my preference right now. Is, we've had a change of leader. Things have changed massively off the back of COVID. I do wonder whether or not the country does need a general election to, to at least get an idea of where support now is in the country and what people have support for. Because, like it or not, most of Brexit is dealt with. It's no longer probably now the main issue in the UK. There are still some issues. There's obviously the Northern Ireland problem, and to be honest with you, I think Northern Ireland is rapidly heading towards a referendum on where do they want to be. Do they want to remain a part of the United Kingdom, or do they want to join the Republic of Ireland? And to be honest with you, I think they fully deserve that opportunity to have that decision. I think regardless of what your politics are on that, I think people have the right to self-determination and to make their own choices. And I think, honestly, the most democratic thing that they can probably wish for right now is some form of vote, at least, on sort of where they see themselves going forwards. Because realistically, you know, right now they're being dictated to not only by the EU, but also, you know, by Britain, mainly by us in the UK. We're having a major impact on them, and it's not fair. I don't think it's fair. And I think if I was an Irish person, if I lived in Northern Ireland, I would, you know, it's really difficult for me to say. I will put this out there. I want the United Kingdom to remain united. In the same way that I want it to remain in the EU. Because I think we're stronger as a grouping, as a nation together. But equally, if I was from Ireland, and from Northern Ireland specifically, I would probably have some major misgivings about the way that the UK government treats my nation. It is not a nation of equals, as it stands. The way that Northern Ireland is treated is you know, pretty shocking. And the way the Northern Ireland Assembly and the like is being run is not great. Yeah, all of that is sad, actually, more than anything. It's sad for the people of Northern Ireland, who deserve more than anything to have a peaceful, you know, existence and not be having to deal with a lot of Westminster is petty bullshit, and that's a major battle. Look at that. They are trying to push us back, and we don't exactly have a lot to reinforce with other than shit cavalry divisions, so I think I do send some units over, actually, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's a definite interesting one, I must say. It's one of those things where you just wonder to yourself, as I say, is a referendum, you know, as much as I hate the word now after Brexit, I really do think that that more than any other part of the UK, they're deserving of a chance to make their own decision on what they want to do going forwards. And, you know, having an enclave of the UK over on Ireland just doesn't, you know, in the 21st century, I just wonder how much sense it really makes. You know, should Ireland just, should Ireland be one nation? You know, should the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland be one nation? Because, you know, they share the same landmass, and yeah, it stinks a little bit of the last vestiges of us Brits trying to hold on to what little power we have left. But you know, as I say though, I don't want Northern Ireland to leave. I think, you know, I've been to Northern Ireland, I've been to Belfast. I think it's a lovely place, and I think it would be a real shame if they left the UK, because it's just, you know, it'd be very sad. And the other thing that's happened obviously as well is that Scotland is calling for another referendum, and they may call for it unilaterally. And again, even more than Northern Ireland, I'd be really disappointed to see Scotland leave the United Kingdom. You know, but again, Scotland, they've got a lot of powers devolved to them, is what I would say. And therefore, I have slightly less of a... I still think they've got the right to self-determination, though. They have the right to make their own decisions and things. And again, Westminster has not been supporting Scotland correctly. They have not been giving them... You know, they've... At the end of the day, Scotland voted to remain in the EU, and because the rest of the UK voted to take them out, they've had to leave. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. I don't think that's fair at all. So if I was a Scottish person, once again, I would, you know, I'd be very annoyed. I'd be very pissed off. But equally, once again, as I've mentioned before, I really don't want to see Scotland leave, because I think Scottish people do you know what I mean? They're the same as English people to me. You know, what I mean by that is we're all one nation, and I don't want to see that, you know, that unity end. I'm a massive history nerd. Scotland and England have done a lot of things, not all of them great, but, you know, a lot of things together, and it'd be very sad if, you know, the shared history of a, you know, going back, when did they join? They joined formally? They joined, didn't they? I think United Kingdom formally was declared in the early 1700s. So, you know, that's 300 years of history. It's amazing, really, when you think about it. So it's just very sad, really. It would be extremely sad if the Scots left the Union. But again, I think they've got the right to determine their own future in the same way as any other part of the UK. So, yeah, sad times. The only area of the country that doesn't seem to want to leave is Wales. So, you know, let's keep the Welsh. I'm happy with the Welsh. Got good brekkie down in Wales. Anyone gets the chance, get down to Wales and get yourself a breakfast. It's damn good. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the news. And then, you know, honestly, like, English patriotism is the single most disgusting thing in existence. It's bad enough when the footy's on. I mean, I'm a football fan. Like, I'm not a massive England fan, I must say. I don't really give a shit about international football, but, you know, like, English football fans are pretty cancerous in general. You know, not trying to be disparaging to people, but, like, yeah, the typical image of, you know, the English football player is not, it's not a particularly positive one sometimes. So yeah, just not good. You know, it does not conjure positive images, I think, in the minds of some people in this country. You know, rightly or wrongly, but that's the way it is. But yeah, English patriotism. Like, I heard someone saying we should vote to, you know, for England to be taken away from, you know, from the rest of the UK, and I was like, oh, bloody hell. It left with the fucking worst parts of the UK, just England. Ugh. You know, ugh, rough. I don't know. Let's have an independence referendum, and just all the places that voted leave, they can live in their own independence world. How about that? But yeah, so it's been a good time period in a way politically. What now worries me is obviously the Labour Party are. I mean, Keir Starmer today came out and said, "I've not been fined by the police." That's amazing. You know, this is such great news. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's you know, that is a win. But what kind of world are we living in where that's a win? That's where the bar is now. I wasn't fined by the police. Therefore, I'm, you know, a good person. You know, it's pretty low, isn't it? It's a low bar, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very low bar. Just bloody hell. This is where we're at now. Fun times. But it's bloody hot in the UK at the moment. But yeah, what I was going to say about Keir Starmer is just what, you know, now that Boris Johnson is gone and the Tory party are getting in a new leader, that's going to wipe the slate clean. So Keir Starmer is now going to have to, I mean, it's going to wipe the slate mostly clean. I mean, if they elect someone that was part of Boris Johnson's cabinet and, like, didn't resign and, like, stuck with him, or, you know, stuck with him as long as they did, they're still stained by him, in my opinion. But to the average voter, to the average Conservative voter that didn't like Boris Johnson, maybe, you know, that much, maybe anymore, you know, they'll see this new person come in and they'll go, ah, well, you know, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, blah-de-blah-de-blah. You know, that's just what they'll do. So, Keir Starmer has now got to be a new Conservative leader. And the main positive thing he had going for him was that, effectively, Boris Johnson was the leader. Because he could position himself as being the more sensible one of the two of them. But now that's gone. He can't do that anymore. That opportunity is out the way. So in which case, now that that opportunity is out the way, what the fuck are they, you know, the Labour Party going to do? Because they don't have any principles, and they don't have anything, you know, it definitely feels like now they have nothing now that, do you know what I mean, separates them from any other party. They are completely vapid. They've just, you know, they might as well might as well just be the Conservative Party light at this point, because Keir Starmer has ran it. So when Keir Starmer was elected Labour leader, he had 10 points, and he said he supported the 2019 Labour manifesto, which he did when he campaigned for it. But they went through the 2019 election, which did not go well. It didn't go well, and the main reason it didn't go well is because there were two factors, really. One, Jeremy Corbyn had one of the most directed smear campaigns directed against him I think I've ever seen. Like, I don't know how many people have ever listened to Jeremy Corbyn speak. If there's one thing he's not, it's a racist. Like, that is not, the man's won, like, Gandhi Peace Awards and other things, it's got his faults, and I do believe that anti-Semitism within the Labour Party probably did increase whilst he was leader. But, and this is where the but is going to come in, he's not racist when it comes to his support for people. I think he's honestly supports all people equally. I think the issue is he had an opinion on Palestine that was not very popular, in that he supports Palestine, or at least I think the people of Palestine maybe having more of a say in the way that their nation is treated by an Israeli nation. It's not a topic that is an easy one for anyone to talk about, but I think he had an opinion that maybe was a bit more favourable towards the Palestinian cause than some members of the Parliamentary Labour Party would have preferred. And that's fine. It's not a clear-cut issue. Do you know what I mean? You can have opinions probably on both sides of that equation. But to smear him in the way that he was smeared, I think is quite a disappointing and rather disgusting thing for someone that seems to have a little bit of integrity. But the second point, other than the smear campaign from the media, which was always going to happen, at the end of the day, Jeremy Corbyn is quite dangerous to certain financial interests via some of his policies. It was always going to happen that certain people with vested interest may try and smear that person's credibility. It's always going to happen. But the second sort of reason they lost is Brexit, because Jeremy Corbyn did not have a clear... He had a Brexit vision, but it was not clear to your average voter that needs a binary. They don't want a grey area. They don't want a carefully nuanced position on something. They want pretty much a yes or no on your position. They want to know if you're in or you're out. Now, to be honest with you, I'm an ardent Remainer, and my opinion would have been to just come out and say we're going to do a second referendum. Because now we know what Brexit looks like. This was 2019. We knew what Brexit was looking like. We knew what it was starting to entail. What people had said about it was true. That it would hurt the economy and it would hurt the average person in the UK. Oh, he stole something. British blueprint stolen. Beautiful. Look at that. CAGs and the like. Air-launched torpedoes level 1. I'm pretty sure we probably already got air-launched torpedoes level 1, but oh well, we need it again apparently. That's probably what I'm checking now. Yeah, we've already got air-launched torpedoes level 1. Not sure why we get it again. Oh well. But, yeah, so not having a clear vision on Brexit, having a nuanced view is not what was good. And as I say, my personal opinion would have been to have say that you were going to push for a people's vote and have an opportunity, now that you know what it means, to make sure that this is definitely what we want and what we're voting for. But he didn't go for that because he would have alienated a massive amount of the country. Problem was that a massive amount of the country was already alienated from the Labour Party and was going to vote for Boris Johnson and the Brexit hardline, view anyway. So trying to appeal to those people and get them back was never going to happen. He had to try and coalesce the Remain vote, in my opinion, and fully support Remain, and that would have, maybe not fully support Remain, that's not the right way of putting it, but fully dedicate himself to the people's vote and give the people that were Remainers an alternative to what was being put forward by Boris Johnson, which was a more hardline Brexit. But, it is what it is, and decisions were made, and they were, you can say in hindsight, I could be Captain Hindsight here, and say that they were the wrong decisions. But, as I say, there are other problems. The 2019 manifesto for the Labour Party was a good manifesto from a standpoint of ideology, and it was interesting, but from feasibility of actually being able to deliver it is, you know, it's quite a different thing. It's quite sad actually that's what's, you know, that's what was around, you know, like it. If they'd focused in on a few things, so a few things that were good in there were the like national care system that was being promoted, so the national care service, so a public-run care service for, you know, a variety of different things for people that are older and the like, to help aid the NHS really and give proper aftercare, and also quite a lot of work in there about mental health. So, which is something that, you know, I personally feel like is quite let down in the UK and needs to be looked at. So, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, with the best of intentions, I think that was never really going to work. I don't think as a manifesto. Bloody hell, it is really hot today. I'm like dying. I don't like heat, and it's just bloody boiling. I'm boiling my tits off. But yeah, it's just sad really that that we're at the point now where the Labour Party just has nothing. You know, I can't list to you what Keir Starmer stands for. Now, I don't know what he stands for. I'm sure he stands for something. Oh God, I'm knocking the desk. I'm sure he stands for, you know, something, but he won't even, you know, come out and support the railway strikes that have gone on. He seems to be very flip-floppy when it comes to his opinions on the economy and on, you know, where the Labour Party would the Labour Party tax people that are richer than poorer people? You would assume yes, because that's sort of a standardised tenet generally of this sort of stuff, but it's really not clear based on like his, you know, his policy and his standpoint, what he actually thinks about this sort of stuff. It seems to be quite wishy-washy. And he is, you know, I don't want to be mean about the guy, but he's very typical of the Parliamentary Labour Party. He's just, you know, I don't want to call him what's the word I'm looking for? There we go, the establishment choice. But he just looks like the establishment choice. He really does. And, you know, that's fine. You know, there's nothing sometimes wrong with someone that's a bit like Tony Blair. Like, that can get you votes. But in the current climate, is he going to appeal to people that have moved away from the Labour Party and moved to the Conservatives under Boris Johnson? I'm not sure. Because the people that are campaigning in these towns, you know, it depends if the Tory Party is going to stick with this policy. That is one clear thing. But the Tory Party at the moment are very good with this levelling up thing. It's a very good slogan. I'll give them this. You know, the Boris Johnson thing of saying we're going to support parts of the UK that haven't been supported by the Conservative Party before. You know, we're going to look at places in the Red Wall that have been let down massively. If you vote for it is like, I can't remember the name of it, pig barreling or something, but if you vote in a Tory MP, we're going to give you funding. That's the long and short of it. And, you know, a Conservative person can say, they can go to their constituents and say, you know, if they've benefited from the levelling up fund, they can say, well, we've redeveloped the town centre, or, you know, we've built this, or we're looking to build this. If you elect me, then, you know, we can continue doing this. If you don't, and you elect a Labour MP, you're running a chance that, you know, maybe we won't, you know, get this. Which, it shouldn't be like that, but it's a form of blackmail, you know, really, in its own way. I don't want to call it that. It's probably a bit defamatory. I won't call it blackmail. What's a different word for it? It is a form of... I'll retract that statement and say it's a form of... What's the word? I won't even see manipulation. I think you know what I'm getting at. It's a clever tactic. Let's put it that way. And I just wonder how effective, you know, it'll be in the election, and whether or not the Tory Party sticks to it. As I say, like, you know, I'm not being funny. It is Boris Johnson's brainchild. I think the whole levelling up the UK thing, and backing Britain and all of that shit. But it will resonate with people that have been left behind, and there are definitely parts of the UK that have been left behind. But that's just the truth of it. I'm lucky. I live in a fairly affluent area, and I live in a part of the UK that's got. Do you know what I mean? It's a student town. It's a student city. There's plenty of stuff going on around here. I'm not living in a part of the UK that's been left behind and struggled in the wake of Thatcher. But the same party, the Conservative Party that destroyed these cities and these towns, is now the ones that you're going to turn to try and fix it? Seriously? How does that make sense? So, after a decade of Tory austerity, and there are major problems. The NHS has been chronically underfunded for the last 12 years. It has been. There's graphs of plenty that show the amount of funding it's received. It's been nowhere near when Labour was in power over the sort of boom years before the recession. And yeah, we've been in a recession. You expect funding to drop a little bit, but not to the degree in real terms that it has. And we wonder why the NHS can, you can go to A&E and you can wait 10 hours. We wonder why that is. Well, it's because it's been chronically underfunded for a decade. What do you expect? And these Tories speak about their love of the NHS and stuff. Well, fund it correctly. But, yeah. The problem we've got in the UK is whilst, in America it really is a two-party state. It just is. I know I'm going to get a load of Americans saying that you can vote libertarian and all the rest of it, but it's a two-party state. It's a functioning democracy based on two parties. Yay. In the UK, technically, you have more of a choice. You could vote. There's a lot of parties in the UK, and the Liberal Democrats get a fair amount of seats generally. The Scottish National Party in Scotland get a lot of seats, but the problem is the left-wing vote in the UK is split massively, and I've touched on this before. It's the right of the UK, the right of the political system in the UK is very good at coalescing their vote into the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party dominates all other parties, and they eat them up. So the UKIP was big for a little while, but they were never going to unseat the Tory party as the big right-wing party. They just weren't, because the Tory party is good at getting their vote together and coalescing it. The problem is with the left in the UK is we're split massively. So in the south, and I'm talking about like the south coast, there's really, this is where you've got the least chance of electing a Tory MP. But let's say you live in, the least chance of electing a Labour MP. But let's say you live in Brighton. You're going to vote Green because they've got a good track history there, and they have won, a seat in Brighton before. So they've got a little stronghold there, the Greens, but they've only got one seat in Parliament. But I just want to lay out all the splits of this. And the Green Party does quite well nationally in the UK, relatively well for what is one of the smaller parties. You've then got the Liberal Democrats, who get a swathe of votes from pretty much all across the UK. And in sort of the area that I live in, they're generally the main opposition party to the Tories if you want to try and get the Tories out. Now, the Liberal Democrats have been picking up a bit of steam lately, but whether or not they'll actually do well in an election is a very different thing. You can do very well in by-elections, but not get anywhere in elections. And they've been neutered ever since they were in government with the Tory party when they had the coalition off the back of Labour. So, they're not the force they once were, but, they can get a few seats. But they're more to the centre of British politics, but they often fight for the Labour vote with Labour more than the Tories. They just do. That's the way it goes, because their politics are more similar than the Lib Dems to the Tory party. They just are closer in ideals when it comes to especially social issues. The Liberal Democrats are actually often more liberal than some of the Labour parties, to be completely honest with you, when it comes to some social issues. They're normally a bit ahead of the curve on some things. So, that says it all really about the Labour Party. Next up, we've got Plaid Cymru, or Camry? Plaid Cymru, there we go, who are based in Wales, and they're effectively the Scottish National Party, but in Wales. They are looking for independence, but again, they're quite left-wing with their policies. Like, economically speaking, they're very left-wing, and they compete with the Labour vote, again, for that element, because of the fact they're left-wing. In Scotland, I've already touched on it, Scottish National Party, they might be called National, but they're as left-wing as it comes. So all of the seats in Scotland are gone. The Labour Party can't get them back because the National Party, Scottish National Party's got all of them. So you're losing like 40 seats that Labour used to get, and they just don't stand a chance of getting them unless Labour's got someone moderately good in there. Keir Starmer is not going to appeal to people in Scotland. It's just not. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but politics has moved on. It's not happening. And then Northern Ireland doesn't have that many seats, and generally it's split between the sort of major parties over there, which is Sinn Féin and DUP, the Democratic Unionist Party. So it's more of a, there's reasons for that, for Northern Ireland to vote the way they do. But my point in all of this is that you've got splits there of the left-wing vote in the UK massively. If you were to combine the left-wing vote of sort of all of the left-leaning parties in the UK, it's more than the Conservative Party get. But it's unfortunate that it's just split between, as I say, all these different parties and all these different viewpoints. And I don't think we'll see the Labour Party get in while Scotland is going through what it's going through, which is the NSP have got a massive... Sorry, not the NSP. That's the National Socialist Party. The SNP, the National Party, or Scottish National Party. The SNP, yeah, there we go. Well, not the NSP. That would be a very different world to be living in. But yeah, so the Scottish National Party have got a massive amount of support actually up there, and the Labour Party, I think they'll really struggle to get into government unless they form a coalition with someone. Problem is, if they form a coalition with the Scottish National Party, then they'll ask for a referendum to leave the UK. So it's, and no one's going to want to be responsible for that within the Labour Party, so it discounts them. And then you've got the Liberals, the Lib Dems, who last time they were in coalition, it was a fucking nightmare because they were in with the Tories, and they've made it clear that they don't want to be in coalition again because it pretty much electorally destroyed them. So the Green Party have got one seat. It's just, the Labour Party have got a real uphill battle, facing up to the fact as well that people in other parts of the UK don't trust them as far as they can throw them. They've got the strongholds in Liverpool, in Manchester, in parts of the North East still, but they've made major losses in the North East in the last election. And where they seem to be doing better now is in urban centres, sort of the more studenty areas like London and sort of Cambridge, and I guess you could say the I don't want to say more intellectual, but the areas of the country that are a little bit more sort of liberal in the sense that on social issues, because they don't want to vote Tory. So, but the problem is sadly you can't win elections based on just those areas alone. You need to try and get a broader pool of support if you can from a variety of different people. And there are people with real grievances. There's a reason Brexit happened. It's because people have been, they wanted change. They're sick of, the current establishment of but my frustration is that the people that are sick of change and vote for Brexit, you still vote for the Tory party. You vote for the party that you've experienced for the last few years. That's vote, for austerity. You're voting for food banks, and you're still doing this to yourselves. Do you know what I mean? I know the Labour Party aren't perfect. Trust me, I really don't think they're that great. But they're better than the alternative, I think. Than the Tory party. That's the reason why I vote the way I do, is because if I've got a choice between one or the other, I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils. And I've got my problems with Keir Starmer, and I've been saying on here that I don't think he's that great, but if it's a choice between that and yet another 5 years of Tory government, seriously? Is that really a choice in people's heads? I would hope it isn't a choice. If it is, then, more power to you. But I'm surprised it would be a choice to someone that they'd be, that would, really? I don't know. As I say, I've got a very, I am a bit of a libtard, I will admit this, and my opinions on certain things are probably very different from Joe Blogs on the street. But it feels like this country's been making a lot of mistakes in its decision making, and as you can see, we're planning out our next big movement. So we've done one encirclement down here now in the next part of the country, and we're planning now our grand push now into the sort of heartlands of China, because we've now got we probably outnumber them troops-wise, definitely in quality. So we might not outnumber them altogether, but we've definitely got the quality advantage now, and they don't outnumber us to the point where it's going to be a problem. So yeah, we're definitely looking quite good. But anyway, that was today's political rant out the way. You know, as I say, I listen to a variety of opinions. I'm always interested to hear the opinions in the comments, by the way, as well. You know, regardless of what part of the world you're from, even if you're not from the UK and, you know, you've got no idea all these names that I'm talking about, you know, please feel free to mention them anyway, because I think it's a very interesting thing to talk about. You know, our politicians are meant to serve us, but sometimes it doesn't feel like they do a very good job of that. So, I don't know. I wish everyone the best of luck in the upcoming political theatre of the world. I think we're on the precipice of some rather difficult situations, to be honest with you, and I think I will leave it there. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. We're coming up to the end of the episode now. I can see that we've got 10 seconds left, and I think I'm waxing lyrical about what we're going to be doing in the next episode. So once again, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Hearts of Iron 3 and Black Ice in the Japan campaign. Thanks again. Bye-bye.